Alrighty guys, it's a rare day in Butte, and you can see it's so nice. I left all the windows open in my car, so it's pretty rare because typically it has a possibility of rain every day. So, and today we don't even dare have that until I go to work at least at 1. It's gonna be about 90 today. We're looking at a high about 86, 85 to 87, somewhere in there, but still close enough. So I wanted to make a quick update on these trees over here today, and just what's going on. So let's start with this one. Look at that right over there in the corner. And my phone's overheating, so it's a little hard for me to see what's being recorded, but it's still being recorded in full quality, but it's just hard for me to see it and with brightness. My phone's overheating. So, but that's an amazing little tree right there. And the growth has slowed down significantly this year. And which is okay. I didn't think it would, but it did. Maybe it just had to take a little break. But what that'll do is it'll allow it, because eventually once it gets too tall, it'll hit them wires. I'll have to cut it down. So if it grows slow, it'll give me more years of kind of just a nice look out of it. But I do want to see some production from it. And like, so you can see that one versus that one. There's a little bit more thinness in that one. But we'll go ahead and take a look at that. You can see we've got 2 sprouts coming from the base. My phone's almost black now. I can't even see the screen. That's how hot it is. And this phone seems to overheat bad. I'm on the beta too, which doesn't help. But if you look at the 2 bottoms there, it looks really nice around that tree. And so, yeah. So I'm gonna let those grow all season, well, until we get back. You can see the bottom here is thinner on the tree until it goes up because the base here was growing. I'm not letting that grow, and I'm actually gonna cut that back again after I'm finished with this video. These 2 side ones are just side shoots that I'll let go until they start, till probably we get back in August. But these 2 will just kind of shroud the trunk and, you know, give it water moisture. These though are staying, all these. The ones there, here, everything in here is staying. I even got that one protected, which we'll get into. And so, but over here, it looks really nice. Look at how thick the trunk is for a start. See, we've got some stuff going on here, just natural splitting and elongating and eating of the tissues of the previous area. See, there's quite a bit of ants in the area. So, but these trees have dealt with this for so many years. It's just a normal part of what they deal with. You can see it is putting on growth, definitely now. Just a lot slower, but it's got well-sized growth on the tree. So it's definitely expanding the shoots. You can see here, starts here and ends here. So it's shorter, but still growing. And right about here, actually, we do have quite a bit of growth. So we might see quite a bit out of this tree. It just looks thinner on the inside for some reason. Maybe they got shaded out too bad last year, but it's just an amazing one for the area here. You still got those 3 top shoots that stick out. Just an amazing looking tree with the trunk and the top and the 2 side branches. So that really nice one there. And here we got some shoots, some very, very vigorous ones. This area never, look at how big the leaf is. It's almost as vigorous as that one there. That aspen right there that we'll get into. But these never even did anything before. So the area is shooting up more limbs this year than it has quite a while. So that's why we're getting these new trees that I'm trying to protect. But this one never has shot up. So I don't know why. This one always has. And this one was that huge one where after one season they'd be this tall, a big bush, just like these. But I actually, when it was big like these, but huge, I was like, I'm gonna leave one just in case I need it. And that's where this one is. So yeah, I could do that with one of these too, but there's no point since there's already one. But these will get cut back. So that's this little area. But I want to make a quick update on these too, just so I can show you guys before I cut these back what they do look like. So this one here, these were both a cut down tree. And they both grew about the same rate, but this one took off because I let one grow. And these all both just produced same shoots, just a big bush of suckers. And this one turned into a tree because I let it. And these could do the same thing. Each one of these has a potential to be a tree. If you guys don't know that. So if you get one and it comes up, you can turn it into a tree. That's what all these are. But keep in mind, they will develop a root system and start sprouting. Keep that in mind. That's what's perfect for this area. I love that about it, but keep that in mind. So there's this one. See, it's definitely got some height to it. If you look at this one, it definitely does too, and it's got big leaves, so it's a vigorous one. And we'll see what happens with it by the end of the season there. I could use those for cutting, so if I can leave them all season, that would be ideal. But I don't want it shading out that tree. And then in here now, if we take a look, let's take a look at some of the ground sprouts first, just so we can get into that. Over here, I cleared the area, and these I thought were a lot thicker than they were, but this one is really thick. But let me point out something. These are not aspens, these are aspens, and then these that look quite similar to them are not. And once they were merged in with these, you could barely see the difference. And so the whole back of all these cut limbs right there were going into these. And so these are the true aspens that I have fully revealed. They were getting grown in by the grasses and stuff, so I kind of thinned out the area next to them. You can see the thinning out I did. That changes when those come, so they look a lot nicer, and they are pretty nice. They're going to be a bush. This one was a cut down tree, but these are going to be a nice bush that forms kind of in the area there. These over here are two smaller little bush suckers, little clusters, that I'm just going to see what happens with them. They're close, they're like clusters, and so I'm not really worried about the space in between them. We'll just let them go until they, something happens. But these ones are a little slower growing, definitely, on the less vigorous side than something like these, or probably even that stem. So, yeah. And same with this one. So let's take a look at these. Here's the growth. They put on some growth, though, if we look at that. I get ahead of myself. So they grow from about right here all the way up. So we do have some growth as of July on these. I'm sure we'll get to the same amount of growth these previous stems made or exceed, because you can see the buds are still growing. And then this one here is being pretty vigorous this year. It's turning into a tree form. It's another non-vigorous one. I'm surprised it survived the winter, but it did. It actually comes out of the ground at an angle. A little bit of a unique one. Ran over it with a dirt bike a couple times, I think. But now that risk for it's getting lower because it's survived and it's reproducing branches and becoming a nice little tree, actually. So I'm glad I left them alone. Leave stuff alone and just see what it does. And we've got some ground cover coming up next to it. I'll weigh my options and see if any of these outgrow it. I think this one could, because it's, like I said, this is July. The dogs are out there. And that's the main reason, was those guys, the neighbor's dogs, that I wanted to protect that one. This tree is my main one that I want to protect, and I'll get into why. But these here, I'll weigh my options. I'm sure a lot of these are going to go, depending on if they pass that one up or not, because that one's pretty nice right now. And same with all the little clusters. But this one here, I think we'll pass it up, but I don't know if it's in the immediate affected range with that one. So we're weighing options in this area, but you can see you do have quite a bit around this little tree there. But it is a little tree. You can move it around, and so just a little slower growing one, but it's actually got some pretty large leaves this year, so it might pull something off. These here too, these actually are growing pretty big leaves for the small stem it produced last year, so they might be doing something too, but there's not really any reason for having one so close to the fence. So there's that area. But let's look at the trees now. I'm getting ahead of myself. After we look at these. So right here, this one's the main important one because, well, the leaves are a little bit colored, but it's like a little golden looking. It's kind of weird. But it's growing very vigorously right now, and it's very thick, and it's a perfect location for a new tree. So that's why I'm kind of protecting this one. I don't know what the goldening leaves are. Maybe they're just underdeveloped or something. But it's very thick stem, very red, vigorous, and perfect location in between the two trees for a nice big tree to grow. And so if we look at the growth on that, it's kind of hard to see it through here, but you can see it did put on quite a bit of growth. I am sorry if I sound a little crazy, guys. I'm hot right now. It's really hot for here. These, though, this one is producing specifically this one limb. Look at how big the leaves are on that thing. I cannot even believe that. It's bigger than them stems down there. So this one, what I did was perfect. What I did with this is it fell, and then I was screwing around with it for too many years, never letting it do anything, just letting it grow a bunch of crap, and it was all scrawny and sick. And so what I did was I just cut all of it back. You can see all the cut marks on the stem. And what I did was I cut all of it back and left one stem. And I left these for reference. This is the size of the stem that they were all this size. It's a typical, got dang bugs out here. Typical first year size stem, if my camera would focus. And so look at the difference. This bigger stem was the same size as this stem not long ago. And so this one actually came out right here. But yeah, big difference in just a month, and then probably a month and a half of growth. And the stem has widened that much. So if we take a look at that, yeah, insane. It's already covered up the whole wound of where I had cut it before, and it's definitely now become very strongly bonded. We've had some serious wind to the trunk, and it won't move at all, and it's covering up the whole wound, and so it's now the new leader. And the tree knows that, and it's produced this amazing top already. It's starting to look again, finally, like a natural tree. And as it grows and produces more out shoots and everything, it's gonna look a lot better. I'm just keeping the bottom trunk clean, letting everything go up to that top, and so we'll go from there. But it's a very sturdy tree, very, very healthy. This one here is still pretty vigorous. It is a really nice, large tree. What happened here was I actually had to cut this one back when I was cleaning the area. And there was a bunch of shoots around it too. And so what happened was I cut it and I was able to put a dog leash over this. So I'd take because the trunk wasn't even this big, so I'd be able to bend the whole trunk and put a dog leash over it, and just to have the dog always tugged on the tree because he wanted to jump the fence and watch us over here. So I always tied him to this tree just while we were over here for a few minutes. And so I remember that. But now that would not even be slightly possible, because that was the junction that was possible at. And now it's got some, that's the biggest stem. It goes all the way up to the top of the tree there. So but it's a really, that whole green base was not there 2 years ago. So just for reference, when an aspen is stressed, this is how much a tree can grow in 2 years. That whole top green base or top was not there, and it's very heavy on the trunk. Because of what happened and how it grew back, it added extra weight to the trunk, and so it's a very shaky tree. But I'm noticing big time it is thickening and strengthening. The roots, they don't really wiggle in the ground very much right now, as they did. I'm wiggling it, and they don't really move the ground like they did at the beginning of the season. It was scaring me. And so the tree's like, okay, we need to work on this now. And so it is. It strengthened the crap out of that trunk. And like I was saying, the trunk over here was actually much larger than the trunk of this tree. Now they're about equal because this tree's been flipping. What the heck's going on? It's saying it needs to strengthen its trunk. So it's definitely going to be a sturdy one. It's got a big base to support there. And it's hard to see this way. I got to go this way to show you guys the tops because it's hard to see. But yeah, it's just a big top, and it's a nice tree. So, and this part doesn't grow any more limbs anymore. Not at all. Like, it was doing that forever, and finally it's like, okay, I'm good now. I don't need no more limbs. I've finally trained it to quit suckering out. So no matter throughout the whole year, nothing suckers. It's amazing. And so this one does, but it'll stop too once that top gets supported again. So that's gonna be nice to see. But yeah, there's the area. So a lot of little aspens in this area. Sometimes I go so fast, just getting into what I'm trying to say, that I don't point everything out. So let's look at all of them. I mean, the spruces aren't doing real well, so we'll just give you a look at those, but not much is happening with them. And then we've got all the aspens that really looks nice. That one there, you can see that it really looks nice in that sun blowing in the wind. And the little one over there. So yeah, it's a nice area. I'm just gonna watch the developments of the area as time goes. But that corner tree, guys, it sticks out. It's a stick out one. Especially with those two bottom growths just right in the center of them. Right here, just a perfect little tree. That aspen right there. Really nice. So it's in tight area though, right between a fence, a post, some wires, and a spruce. So it's look at it right here. It just shows you how nice it is, how big. But it's definitely got some, yeah, really nice though. Big, huge, thick trunk, guys. That was once it was just a little stem. I have pictures of when it was a little stem just like this in a big group, and now it's eating around all of the stems that once were there. So once it finds one that's going, it stops the suckering pretty dramatically. And as I keep pruning that, it's telling it even more, you need to quit suckering here and just start growing up. But what I'm noticing with this is not on the tips. The tips are producing growth, but the insides are not. They're not producing any limbs. And it must be doing that for a reason. You can see up here perfectly. No limbs and then limbs. I don't know. See, it's kind of hard to see on camera. But no limbs and then limbs producing on the sides right here. It's just leaf buds, and then all of a sudden on the end there's like actual shoots. So it must be a reason for it. It must sense something that there's a reason to do that. Or it's trying to just work with limited energy from last year's extreme and produce growth on the sides. But yeah, you can see the mast here. The trees are producing a lot of cones. But yeah, we'll definitely watch that area as the time goes on. Let's take a look at another aspen further down, the one right over here, and then the tree over there. So this aspen is practically impossible to see. You can see there, it's really hard to see with the big thing you're seeing, the trunk, and then the whole big tree is pretty much the aspen. It's just buried in between the other ones. So you can see it's got a nice trunk. Goes straight up. Kind of close to the neighbors right there, and they're outside with the dogs. So I'm gonna go over here and talk about these trees. All right, these trees here, kind of the tops don't look well, but the bottoms are producing. So we're gonna let the bottoms do what they're gonna do there, and they'll be good. So that's the major focus point, is them bottoms. Look at the growth on the bottom here. Looks like we're done though for the season. It puts on a set amount of growth and it's done. A lot of grass coming through them, but man, they're encroaching those previous stems there. So they are big time growing. These lilacs are. And this one here is, I need to re-let dew. So it's gonna do that. And then we have the little lilac over here that's also doing great. Then over here we have the Northern Mountain Ash. This one's weak, produces growths after I had to get cut back to do this garage. Produces growths that once they get so large, they fall. But there is some that seem to be doing okay. And those are the ones, look at this one. This was in 1 year, and it's this long. So, but it is producing some that seem to be staying. So those are what just natural selection is gonna occur on this one, but you can see it's crazy. I did the prune back on this, and it's probably even worse now. So we're just gonna let this one do what it's gonna do. So yeah, that one's definitely, it's a crazy tree. It looks really nice. It's definitely a nice looking ton of growth up there, but it's a crazy tree, guys. It's full of vigorousness, too vigorous. And so yeah, that's the area. We'll see you guys in the next one. Today is June 30th, so tomorrow I'm gonna try and do a field mow. It might be in the evening hours though, because I'm going up to Red Mountain in the morning and finish stuff during the day. It'll be too hot to mow, and then in the evening I should be able to mow, and it might be a little cloudy but cool and nice. So we'll see you guys then.